Well, me and the Lord, we got an understanding. We're on a mission from God.
Good morning, good people, and Eagle and 49er fans. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. What's up, Joe Boo and Bucky Beaver? That's right, we got Bucky Beaver because we're on the road again. We're here at the Red Brick House, and it's 10:30 in the morning. And I have been actually out working. I've got 5,000 steps in already today, and it's not going for a walk. It's out there actually busting my ass before it gets hot. And for all those out there that are saying that you're just losing water weight, well, I must have been just like a water balloon then, because last night I was 257. Now, granted, I was 259.9 this morning, so that was before I ate dinner. But I am definitely losing some of this belly. Thank God. And my blood pressure has been down. One note, people. My blood pressure was so bad. And I don't know if it was because of the Cowboys. No, it wasn't because of the Cowboys, because if that was the case, I would have already had a heart attack years ago. I was dealing with a lot of stress, losing my dad and just getting into a funk and not moving like I should and things. And truth in advertising, my blood pressure some days was over 160, over 110. And went to the doctor. The doctor, of course, said, you need to lose weight. I was about 270, 272 at that time. And put me on blood pressure meds. And I'll be real with you. I do not like taking medication, anything. I have a hard time taking pain meds and stuff for my knees and my back and stuff. I'd rather go through the pain. I am so bad. How bad am I? When I get my deep cleaning at the dentist, I say you can skip the Novocaine. I don't need it. Just do it. Just dig in, scrape away. I'd rather you do that. I'd rather deal with that than like you're the Walking Dead from the Novocaine. Okay, but I have been 10 days in a row. I've had over 10,000 steps. I'm averaging almost 12,000 steps a day. And I've been actually working out in the heat, drinking tons and tons of water. And I forgot to bring my blood pressure meds about like 3 weeks ago when I came down. And I started doing beets. And I've actually made pickled beets. Basically, you cook the beets, take the skin off of it. You make a vinegar, sugar concoction that goes in it, and you put them in there. And I've been eating lots of beets. And beets are a natural blood pressure reducer. And so I had stopped taking the blood pressure meds, and things actually, I felt better. I stopped feeling like I was in a fog. I felt stronger, and I felt better, and my blood pressure went down. So now I'm like in the 130s or in the 80s. So definitely it's beginning to work. All right, sorry to get on there, but this is nothing this time. There ain't nothing going on, except a couple of things that are really good here. Okay, what a difference a year makes. Okay, I decided to, as we get through here, because they always have the rankings and the polls and all of that stuff, right? That really mean nothing because it changes on a weekly basis. But I went back to 24 ESPN's preseason poll and what they said about the Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys post-draft rankings. Who's on the hot seat? Team owner, Jerry Jones. The answer is easy. Mike McCarthy, maybe quarterback Dak Prescott too. Nothing that happens this year will impact Jones' status as the owner or general manager, but he has a lot on the line in how he constructs his team this year. Prescott is months away from being a free agent. McCarthy, who has won 36 games the past 3 seasons, and his coaching staff are on one-year deals. If the Cowboys falter, Jones likely will be starting all over, 29 years removed from the Cowboys' last Super Bowl appearance, while the Cowboys said their season ticket renewals were at more than 99%, according to Jones. The size of the crowds at training camp have been smaller. Excuse me. Sorry. And the anger with the organization seems to be higher than ever. A season that ends without a playoff appearance at minimum will ratchet the heat on Jones, Todd Archer. It was Todd Archer last year. Well, Dak got his contract at the end of training camp. CeeDee Lamb got the season opener. CeeDee Lamb got his contract after camp. Jerry Jones, who was on the hot seat, is still here. And Mike McCarthy could have come back but decided, I'm good. I made, good $30 million from the Joneses in 5 years. Actually won, another 50 games to my resume. I'm good. I can leave. I'm okay. And the Cowboys season imploded. It imploded. We would have been nice if we finished the season at number 11. We're starting off this off-season at 17. And I actually like that because, you don't have the expectations of the team being this great Super Bowl contender. But I can guarantee you, by the end of training camp, everybody, after trashing the Cowboys, I've talked about this cycle all the time. Leo is always mystified by it. By the end of training camp, it will be the Cowboys have Super Bowl aspirations. They've got, best roster, they got a deep roster. They got Dak Prescott and, all the things that they trashed us for before now all of a sudden are going to be strengths. Yeah. So we have that, of course, to deal with. Something else that was interesting that somebody posted, I think this is actually kind of hilarious. Let me go back to it. Let's see. Let me read it to you. Here's somebody tweeted this out. Imagine having the best offensive line in the NFL, which we know the Eagles have had for a couple years. Comparing that to the Cowboys, it's not even close. The best running game in the NFL, they had a 2,000-yard rusher in Saquon. A top 5 wide receiving duo, right? Top 5 wide receivers. So you got the best offensive line, top 5 wide receivers, and the best running game. Now, here's the funniest thing. So here's where it gets to be funny, because then they posted Jalen Hurts' stats. So in yardage, he's 2,903 yards. Didn't even make 3,000 yards. 20th in yardage. In TDs, 18. Tied for 20th. Interceptions, he's got low interceptions, but, if you're not risking the biscuit, he's tied at 72nd. And his QBR ranking is 65.6. Now, here's what I'm going to say. In defense of him, not that I'm going to make this a habit, if you've got a great running game, you're balanced. This is what you want. And so you expect not to have to throw a whole lot of yards, okay? You expect that. But you expect to be more efficient because people are putting 8 men in the box. You should be having more than 18 TDs. And your quarterback rating should be higher than 65. Let me do this. I tell you what, let's do, for shits and giggles, let's go Tony Romo. Stats, okay? Let's, just like I said, for shits and giggles, by comparison, when Tony Romo had a similar situation, okay, in 2014, okay, let's go there. 2014. Here's the thing. Here's where it's funny. Tony Romo had DeMarco Murray, who rushed for 1,800 yards that year, right? And so the Cowboys were balanced much like the Eagles, all right? Tony Romo went 12-3. He threw 3,705 yards. Okay? So we're talking about 800 yards more than what Jalen Hurts did, right? And almost doubled the amount of interceptions. You understand what I'm saying here? He had 34 touchdown passes, okay? 34 touchdown passes with only 3,700 yards with a balanced offense, with great offensive line. Okay, we had the Great Wall of Dallas, and you can say you had Tyron Smith, who wasn't breaking down, Travis Frederick, and a young Zach Martin. You had a great offensive line. But here's where it's really kind of cool. You had a 65 QBR for Jalen Hurts, right? Tony Romo, with basically having the same type of deal that Jalen Hurts had, great running attack. I don't know if it was the best in the NFL or not, because AP was out there at that time, but one of the top 5 rushing attacks, right? You had a great offensive line. You did have Dez Bryant, but I'm not sure. Let's see, who else? Wait a minute. We had Dez and probably Terrence Williams, Dallas Cowboys. And you had Jason Witten, 2014. Let me see. This is going to piss off Eagle fans, of course, but we like to do that. So we had our wide receivers. I know we had Dez. Dez was one of the top 10 wide receivers. We had DeMarco Murray, who had 1,845 yards. That was our big play there. And we had Dez Bryant, who had 88 catches for 1,300 yards. We had Jason Witten, and we had Terrence Williams, who had 600 yards. And we had Cole Measley Beasley at 621. So you can't say we had a top 5 wide receiver combination there. We didn't. So in comparison, here we have Jalen Hurts with a 65 QBR with the best offensive line, best running attack, and top 5 wide receivers. And I would say that's apples to apples. Sorry, Eagle fans. Sorry. He's not as good as you think he is. And mind you, you look at that. Tony Romo had a 69.9% completion percentage. Let's see. Let me pull up all of Jalen Hurts' stats here. We got time. So Jalen Hurts' stats: 8 yards per completion, which is fantastic. That's great. 68.7. So Romo with 1.2 more. Let's see. His rating was a 103. Romo's was a 113.2. And yeah, nothing spectacular about those numbers. I dare say that's bus driver stats.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Okay, moving right along here on this last week. This is the last Sunday, and we have our live stream today at 5 o'clock. I'm going to get some more work done. I'm going to work about another 5 hours and then do our live stream. But we'll have our call-in show. If you're a channel member, we'll have the link in the community tab to join us. And this will be the last Sunday that the Cowboys aren't in training camp. They report next week. Yeah, it's that close. Now, the question will be, will Donovan EZ be there? Because here's the problem. Here's the big problem right now is because I think Cleveland and the Texans signed their second-round rookie pick to guaranteed contracts, all second-round picks are looking for guaranteed contracts. And it may be a rash of second-round pick holdouts because they want to get that cheddar just like everybody else. You got to treat all the kids the same, regardless. And so we hope that he won't be holding out. We don't believe that Michael Parsons will be holding out. If worst cases, he'll be holding in. But I expect the Cowboys to get to camp and finally say, let's get this thing done. The Cowboys have actually had some good luck because thus far, nobody else has gotten another contract since Jamar Chase. And the Cowboys would be very, very lucky if they ended up being able to get Micah's deal signed before something happens with T.J. Watt or with Trey Henderson. So we'll see something there. Beyond that, there ain't much else going on. But I'm glad to hear because last night during my fireside chat, I had put out, a call to see if Jay Maxwell was okay, because I ain't heard from him. He ain't sent me a hate email in a while. And so I kind of talked about him, and he sent me an email and said, hey, I've been in Vegas gambling and stuff, and, I'm kind of checked out because of baseball. And when football season gets here, he'll start looking at his Niners, but he's not expecting much with his Niners because they suck. That's basically what he said, that they suck. Okay, so that's good to hear from a Weiner fan. So let's finish this off with this was Get Up on Friday, talking about Dak Prescott poised for a big season. The pivot is on now.
Are less than 2 weeks away from heading to Oxnard for training camp, where
1 week
all eyes
away
will be on Dak Prescott, who will be given the full go for camp after missing 9 games with a hamstring injury last season. With health now on his side, Dak's been able to look ahead to growing the connection with his new wide receiver duo. Listen to what he had to say.
To be the guy that gets to get them the ball, it's exciting as hell, because you can turn on the OTA tapes and one of the guys, the ball's in the air, and the other one's got his hands up celebrating already. We just got to continue to grow that and continue to make sure that that's trending the right way.
Still has C.D. Lamb, and they got George Pickens from the all-in Steelers. Are you more optimistic or skeptical about how this is going to work?
First of all, Dak can pull off a bucket hat. Very few people can. Very few people can. I am pessimistic for a couple reasons. On the field, this can work. George Pickens, you look at his numbers as far as stretching the field, vertical routes, he's one of the 3 best in the league since he entered into this league with the Pittsburgh Steelers, which, by the way, had quarterback issues. Off the field, that's where I have concerns. Number one, if Mike Tomlin offers you a skill guy in a trade, hang up the phone, block his number, never talk to him again, because he's usually going to win that trade. But then you think about the Cowboys and how they manage their contracts, how they play games, how they play out the string and seem to be, as Dominique has said many times, programming a reality show with how they deal with contracts. George Pickens is entering the last year of his deal. He's going to want to get paid. He's going to want to have the ball in his hands. This has the potential for off-season fireworks a lot.
A lot of offseason fireworks. You said quarterback issues, and that was a very subtle move by you, Kevin. He has had terrible quarterback play in Pittsburgh over the course of his career. He has the second lowest expected catch rate per the NFL's Next Gen Stats, which has been around for almost a decade, of any quarterback or any receiver over the last 3 years. And he has the 6th highest catch rate over expectation. He has been doing more than other wide receivers would do in those same situations. And it is a bad contract spot, but for me, this is not about re-signing with the Cowboys. This is about signing elsewhere for George Pickens. This is an audition. If there's ever a reason for him to be on his best behavior in a pass-happy offense, would it not be this year with the Cowboys?
He'll get right on that.
What do you think, Neek?
Yeah, I mean, I think Dak's been awesome when he's coming off of injuries, and I think we underappreciate how good a quarterback he's capable of being, particularly when you give him talent on the outside, which he's going to have this year. And I think Kevin's probably right. It does spell trouble for potential off-season issues, but we ain't at the off-season yet. We're talking about the regular season, and I think the off-season gets a lot easier if the regular season goes well. It's an uphill battle because that division is tough and getting tougher with the emergence of the Washington Commanders, but I think Dak and that talent on the edge, with him having the freedom of some health and a new head coach, I think it becomes more Dak's team, and he puts up big numbers, and the receivers, both of them, are happy.
You mentioned Dak does win big when he's coming off injury. After missing the final 11 games in 2020, he went 11-5 the following year, and then after missing the final 5 games in 2022, he won 12 games and threw 36 touchdowns the next year. So if the pattern holds, Kevin, Dak should have a monster year, don't you think?
Yeah, if he's healthy. But that's true of a lot of guys.
If he's healthy, are they good enough on offense for him to have to add to this kind of chart?
Yeah, this kind of chart. I just don't see a ceiling as a team that's significantly higher than it has been the last couple of years. They're the 3rd best team in this division. I don't see any way they close the gap, not only with the Eagles, but with the Commanders. That's just a more talented roster in Washington right now. So I think Dak's going to have a vintage Dak year, and it might not matter. That's the unfortunate thing for the Cowboys right now.
Maybe stretched a little bit as a head coach in Chicago, but a very good DC in Chicago and Indianapolis. My concern, of course, is Dak staying healthy. That offensive line was inconsistent last year. I know they added another first-round pick to that mix. That offensive line is going to decide how the Cowboys' offense goes, how that team goes. Most often, when they're good, their offensive line is good.
Yeah, the offensive line made up almost exclusively of dudes named Tyler. Nick, what do you think about the Cowboys this year with Dak back healthy?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the major issues last year you alluded to was like how bad the defense was, and frankly, it can't be that much worse. Like, it's impossible to be worse than they were last year, particularly at stopping the run. So I think an improvement on the defense is inevitable, and that gives them a lot more room to work. And of course, Micah Parsons, I assume he's going to get his contract extension on day one of the season because that's the Cowboys' way, and he'll ball out this year and put up big numbers, or maybe they don't extend him at all, in which case he might break the single season sack record.
Yeah, they got the Thursday opener, right? So maybe it's a few days earlier than Dak.
A little Wednesday afternoon.
Got his last year. We'll see. We'll certainly be following that storyline. Tell us why this is a make or break season for Justin.
There we go. So that's the end of it. All right. So here's one other little tad bit here, which hasn't seemed to have been a blip on the radar. Cleveland Browns second-round pick Quentin Jenkins was arrested in Florida for battery and domestic violence charge.
Oh, shit! Oh, shit!
Had you heard anything about it? That was yesterday. If it was the Cowboys, we know how it would roll. Alrighty, good people, as always, you know how we roll. I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and I got to get out of here.
I can't stand it anymore. I've got to get out of here. I've got to get out of here. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Stewardess, please let me handle this.
I've got to get
Calm down. Now get back to your seat. I'll take care of this. Calm down. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Doctor, you're one on the phone. Everything's going to be all right. Please.
Sister, please, I'll handle this.
I've got to get out of here.